We think of the Amazon as the last great wilderness on Earth, an untamed primal jungle where nature alone writes the rules. But modern satellites scanning beneath the dense canopy have revealed something that completely contradicts this image. Ancient geometric shapes, perfectly straight lines, and massive structures stretching for miles. Not natural, not random, but the ghost of something immense. Something that challenges the very foundation of what we were taught about human civilization in the Americas. Because here's the problem. The official story says complex societies couldn't survive in the Amazon. The soil is acidic and nutrient poor. There are no draft animals. The climate is brutally unpredictable. And yet, what we are finding suggests a forgotten civilization that didn't just survive here. It engineered this entire landscape on a scale that even today, with all our technology, we are only beginning to understand. This is not a lost city. This is a lost world. Over the next few minutes, you will discover how a secret civilization hid in plain sight for 500 years, how they transformed poison Earth into paradise, how they built roads, canals, and entire cities without metal tools or the wheel, and why everything we thought we knew about the Amazon might be completely wrong. Stick with me, because what you are about to hear is rewriting human history in real time. Segment 1. The discovery that broke the map. The year is 2003. The location is northern Bolivia, deep in the Amazon basin. An archaeologist named Dr. Heiko Prumers is standing on a small, overgrown mound. For weeks, his team has been clearing away centuries of jungle growth, frustrated by the lack of stone temples or golden artifacts that usually signal a major discovery. Nothing here looks like a traditional civilization. But then he notices something strange. The ground beneath his feet isn't natural. It's compacted, layered, engineered. He orders a small test trench to be dug. What they found didn't match any known historical record. Beneath just 3 feet of soil, the shovel hit a ceramic shard, then another, then the outline of a massive wooden wall post still preserved after nearly 1,000 years. Think about this for a moment. To build a structure this size, you would need tons of earth. You would need a workforce. You would need social organization. But here's the problem. Every textbook says the Amazon could never support a large, complex society. The soil is acidic and nutrient poor. There are no draft animals. The climate is brutally unpredictable. And yet, as Dr. Prumers and his team widened their dig, they stopped finding a single village. They found the outline of an entire urban network. Over the next 15 years, using advanced LiDAR technology, laser scanning from aircraft that can see through the jungle canopy, they mapped not one site, but 26 separate settlements, connected by straight, elevated causeways, surrounded by massive agricultural fields and enormous man-made water management systems. The scale is almost impossible to imagine. The main settlement, a site now called Kotika, covers over 370 acres. That's larger than the entire Acropolis of Athens. But here is the question that still haunts researchers today. How did a civilization with no written language, no metal tools, and no pack animals build a road network that stretched for over 600 miles? Segment 2. The poison earth that turned to gold. Let's go back to 1999. Xingu region, eastern Amazon. A Brazilian geologist named Dirce Kern is running a soil analysis. She's looking at a black, almost greasy patch of ground, completely different from the typical red, dead soil surrounding it. Local farmers have known about this black earth for generations. They value it above everything. But Kern is the first scientist to study it in serious detail. Under her microscope, she finds something impossible. The soil is not natural. It's artificial. And it's packed with microscopic pieces of charcoal, animal bones, and human waste. But here's the engineering miracle. That charcoal, when ground down to a specific particle size, creates a permanent chemical bond with the soil. It locks in nutrients. It regulates acidity. It essentially turns dead Amazonian dirt into fertile farmland that can produce crops continuously for centuries. Now imagine the scale of what this means. Modern agriculture depends on synthetic fertilizer. Without it, our industrial farms would collapse within years. But this ancient civilization created a soil that regenerates itself. Soil scientists from Cornell University have tested this Amazonian black earth, known as terra preta. Even after 500 years of abandonment, it remains significantly more fertile than the soil around it. Modern engineers still struggle to replicate this process synthetically because the exact microbial interaction inside terra preta is not fully understood. Think about that. A forgotten civilization without laboratories or chemistry, accidentally or intentionally engineered a self-sustaining agricultural system that modern science is still trying to reverse engineer. But this leads to a darker question. To create terra preta on the scale we are finding across the Amazon, you would need to generate an enormous amount of organic waste, constantly, for centuries. How many people would it take to produce that much material? And where are their cities? Segment 3. The hidden infrastructure beneath the jungle. Let's move to the year 2009. The location is near the Rio Negro, a major tributary of the Amazon River. An archaeologist named Dr. Eduardo Neves is leading a survey along the riverbanks. He notices something that should not exist: a canal. Not a small drainage ditch, a massive, straight water channel cut deep into the riverbank, stretching inland for nearly 3 miles. And it's not alone. Using satellite imagery, Neves identifies an entire network of man-made canals connecting rivers, lakes, and wetlands across a region larger than Ireland. But here's the engineering impossibility. These canals are level. Across miles of uneven, swampy terrain, the ancient builders maintained a constant slope of less than half a degree. Even today, civil engineers will tell you that cutting a water channel with that precision across soft jungle soil without modern leveling tools is almost impossible. How did they do it? We don't know, but we know why. The Amazon has 2 distinct seasons. Half the year it's a desert, the other half it's a floodplain. To survive, this lost civilization engineered the entire landscape for both. They built elevated causeways that doubled as dams. They built artificial fish weirs that could trap thousands of fish during the wet season. They built raised agricultural platforms that kept crops dry during floods and irrigated during droughts. This isn't a primitive tribe surviving off nature's scraps. This is an advanced hydraulic civilization managing water on a scale that rivals ancient Egypt. But here is where it gets really strange. Unlike Egypt, which built pyramids and statues to celebrate its rulers, the Amazonian civilization left almost no monumental art. No stone carvings of kings, no war murals. So if they weren't celebrating warriors or gods, what was driving them to build this enormous infrastructure? What were they afraid of losing? Segment 4. The geoglyphs that shouldn't exist. The year is 2006, remote Acre State, western Brazil. A geographer named Dr. Alcei Ronzi is flying over the jungle in a small prop plane, surveying deforestation sites. He looks down at a freshly cleared patch of land and freezes. Carved into the earth is a perfect octagon. 10 miles away, another, a perfect square with exact 90-degree corners. Within weeks, Ronzi identifies over 200 of these structures, known as geoglyphs, hidden beneath the forest. Each one is massive. The smallest geoglyph covers 3 acres. The largest is over 30 acres. Imagine 30 football fields carved into the earth with mathematical precision. But here is the impossible part. To see these geoglyphs as complete shapes, you would need to be at least 500 feet in the air. The ancient builders had no flight, no hot air balloons, no tall mountains nearby. So how did they design them?
Think about this. Modern construction firms use GPS and satellite surveying to lay out large-scale earthworks. Without those tools, simple errors compound over distance. But these geoglyphs are accurate to within a few degrees of arc. Archaeologists have spent years trying to figure out the method. Some suggest a rope-based geometry, using central stakes and long cords. The math works on paper. But here's the problem. The jungle floor is uneven. It's covered in thick vegetation. Tension on a rope shifts with humidity and temperature. Maintaining perfect angles across uneven, muddy terrain for a structure larger than a city block is a logistical nightmare. Even more mysterious, the geoglyphs show no signs of habitation. No houses, no trash pits, no ceremonial remains. They were built, used for some unknown purpose, and then abandoned. And here is the question that keeps archaeologists up at night. Why would a society invest thousands of human hours into building perfect geometric earthworks that have no practical function? What were these shapes for? Segment 5. The collapse that left no survivors. Let's move forward to the year 2021. A team from the University of Florida is analyzing fossilized pollen grains taken from lake beds across the Amazon. These microscopic grains tell a story hidden for 5 centuries. For 4,000 years, the pollen record shows clear evidence of agriculture. Maize, squash, sweet potatoes, managed forests of Brazil nuts and cacao. But around the year 1450 AD, something changes. The pollen from domesticated plants drops to near zero. Within just 50 years, the forest pollen returns. Wild trees, thick undergrowth. The civilization that engineered the jungle simply vanished, and nature reclaimed everything. But here is where the mystery deepens. There is no evidence of war, no mass graves, no burned buildings. There is no evidence of a climate disaster severe enough to wipe out an entire regional population. And most haunting of all, there is no surviving memory of these people. No indigenous tribe in the Amazon today claims descent from the geoglyph builders. No oral tradition describes their massive canals or their black earth. They are not forgotten. They are completely unknown to their own descendants. How can an entire civilization disappear without leaving a single legend? The leading theory is disease. When Europeans began exploring the Amazon in the 16th century, they carried smallpox, measles, and influenza. Indigenous populations without immunity died by the millions, often before ever seeing a European face. But even that theory has a problem. The Great Collapse started in 1450 AD, half a century before Columbus. So what destroyed them half a century before first contact? Some researchers point to a massive drought recorded in tree rings across the Amazon around that time. But other civilizations, like the Inca, survived that same drought. So why not this one? Before we get to the end, I want to pause here for a moment. You're watching this from somewhere in the world. I'm genuinely curious. Did any of you grow up hearing stories about hidden cities in the jungle? Or is this entire civilization new to you? Let me know in the comments where you're from, because this history belongs to all of us, and it's only now being uncovered. Segment 6. The Vanished Library of the Earth. Consider this final contradiction. We have spent decades searching for lost civilizations using the wrong map. We expected golden cities and stone pyramids. We expected armies and kings. But the Amazon civilization left behind a different kind of legacy. They left terra preta, covering an area of Portugal. They left canals that still channel water every rainy season. They left geoglyphs that still defy geometric explanation. And they left a forest that in many places is not natural at all. Recent genetic studies show that the most common tree species in the Amazon today are not wild. They were planted, managed, domesticated. What we call the pristine ancient jungle is actually a gigantic abandoned orchard, a food forest engineered by a forgotten people who understood the biology of the rainforest better than any modern scientist. Think about the scale of that idea. The Amazon rainforest is the size of the continental United States, and we now have evidence that large portions of it were carefully managed by human hands for thousands of years. That is not agriculture. That is planetary-scale ecological engineering, and we don't even know the name of the people who did it. But here is the most haunting question of all. If a civilization this advanced, this successful, could vanish so completely that we only discovered it in the last 20 years, what other civilizations are still hiding beneath the jungle floor, beneath the ocean, beneath the ice? The deeper idea that connects all of this is simply this: human history is not a straight line from primitive to advanced. It is a graveyard of lost knowledge. The Amazon builders engineered soil when our ancestors were still throwing spears. They built roads across swamps with no iron tools. They fed millions in a place we were told could feed no one. And then they were erased, not by an asteroid, not by aliens, but by time itself. So the real mystery is not how they built these things. We'll probably figure that out eventually. The real mystery is how many other civilizations have vanished without a trace, leaving behind only ghosts in the dirt. And if we, with all our satellites and our artificial intelligence and our global internet, could also disappear, leaving nothing behind but a strange black soil and a forest that shouldn't exist. Go outside tonight, look at the ground beneath your feet. Something was there before you, and something will be there after. The only question is, will they remember you?